should Saturday players still be allowed to play Sunday league? Now, I know there's this whole loophole around, if you're contracted to a Saturday league club, should you be allowed to? And recently he came out with, I think Ryan Palmer at E&B, Eric from
Mm,
Belvedere, had went through something similar in regards to that.
yeah,
And I do think in his statement that he's contracted there, so he was still allowed to play. Because is it if you're contracted you can't play, right?
that's right. Yeah.
So yeah, what's your
Well,
thoughts on that one?
well, if it's in your contract that you can't play, that's fine. But it's up to you to now negotiate that contract, the terms of
Mm,
that. So for me personally, if I'm playing for an SE Dons, a Takers, or whatever it is on a Sunday, but I'm also playing for a Hendon or whatever on a Saturday, well, that's
mm.
cool, that's fine. But if my Saturday side is, or any one of those teams are going to tell me, now let's put the shoe on the other foot. Let's say Takers were telling me, Apple, you can't go and manage Hendon. Apple, you can't play for Hendon. You can't play for them, and you can't do this, that, or the other. Okay, no problem. Are you going to pay me to stop me? Are you going to compensate me for that? Because that's my income. That's another part of my income. So, if you're going to tell someone they can't do something, you better be doing something to fill that gap. If you're not, then I'm not signing a contract. If you're not going to do something that fills that gap for them, even if they're playing just for fun, what are you going to do to sort of bring me that bit of fun? You're
But
not.
I want to see it from I'm going to see it from the non-league team's point of view. So, for example, I'm playing you as a player.
Yep.
Now, you're my asset. You're worth X amount of goals per season, or as a goalie, whatever. You're
You
then
don't
going to
own
put your
me.
body on. Hold on, you're going to put your body on the line on a Sunday league
Hmm.
game and not get paid at all. Possibly get injured, and then what?
Doesn't matter.
You keep paying
Doesn't
me.
matter. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Why
If
is
it's
this?
in my, if listen, if you're gonna tell me, listen, this is what we're aiming for. We're going for promotion, this, that, and the other. We really need you to be fit, so we don't want you to play Sunday football. My response is going to be, okay, that's cool. I play with my mates. This is something that I need to do just for my own mental health. I need to be able to do that. The ball's in their court now to go, all right, okay, well, if it's something that helps you with your mental health, would you be okay with us to provide you some sort of counseling? Maybe even like something that you could do with your family on a Sunday. We'll pay for you to do something else. But whatever it is, if you're going to stop me from doing something else that I enjoy doing, you need to be compensating me for that. And it's a matter
Yeah, that's
of,
what I'm saying. If the club
well,
is
well,
compensating
that
you,
well, if they are compensating me, then there's no problem.
mm,
There's absolutely, if they are compensating me, there's absolutely no problem. But that little £100 a week or that £50 a week isn't compensation. So what you're going to do to actually make that right? Like I said, it's so easy for organisations to create a narrative that everybody jumps on. Even more so, coaches and managers because they're losing out on players. Maybe there's a couple of injuries for a midweek game because they're playing on a Sunday. But ultimately, we're giving away our freedom and our liberty. We're
mm,
giving away autonomy over our bodies. We can't be doing that. I think we've done it enough over the pandemic with the vaccines. People were going crazy to go
mm.
and take a vaccine, to go and do something that actually went against their best will. Again, an example of an organization that does something that isn't for your benefit, but certainly benefits them.
Mm.
So this is the exact same thing. Organizations wanting their cake and eating it. That's perfectly fine. If you're going to compensate those players for their time and their loss of fun or their loss of revenue, whatever it is. But if you're not going to compensate them, then you've got absolutely no right to ask them to give that up.
The second part of that was that Ryan brought up is that the fact that other players were allowed to play Sunday league, whereas he
Mm.
wasn't allowed to play for the Dons for a one-off game. Like, so again, like, what is it? It's either got to be a blanket approach, right, or it can't just be one rule for one and then one rule for another. Surely not.
Well, it's not one size fits all, and I think everybody has their own individual deal. There's no point in individual contracts if you're not going to get an individual deal. So it's one of those situations where if he's negotiated that for himself and somebody else hasn't, that's up to him. You better get a better negotiating team.
Mm.
You better negotiate a little bit better. If you don't negotiate very well, then that's a you problem. Get an agent. Get somebody else that can come in and speak on your behalf. Now that's not me being harsh. That's just me saying, uh, it's not a one size fits all. I understand what you're saying about a blanket approach. I think that would be a terrible way to do it because I think you'll find not Sunday league football would certainly take a big hit. Sunday football would take an enormous hit,
Mm.
and the FAs would then do something to counteract it,
Mm.
because you'd see teams folding, disappearing. That means loss of revenue for the local FAs, for the leagues, and wherever there's somebody losing money, you're going to see some action. So we won't see a blanket approach in non-league football stopping people from playing Sunday league football, because there's always somebody that sits at the top of a tree that isn't getting paid, and if they're not getting paid, you can damn sure bet that isn't going to take place. So it is very much something that you're going to need to negotiate on an individual basis.